Now, BuildShip is incredibly underrated because there's some things that you can do with it that are going to be very, very difficult or nearly impossible to do otherwise. And so in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my 5 favorite workflows that you can use to speed up your no-code development. And believe me, after you finish watching this video, you're going to be amazed at the kind of things that you can use a tool such as BuildShip to help you accomplish. Now, before we get started, as always, all the apps and all the resources can be viewed and or cloned from our incredible, rapidly growing Patreon community. And if you're still not a member of our amazing Patreon community, then you can learn more about it via the first link in the description below the video. Now, if you're not yet familiar with BuildShip, BuildShip is an amazing backend tool that lets you have very complex and very difficult functionality quickly and easily. And so if you're not yet familiar with BuildShip, definitely go ahead and check it out at buildship.app. Now, once you familiarize with BuildShip, the next thing that you want to do is you want to sign up for your free account. You do not need to pay. They have a very, very generous free plan that allows you to get started and kind of understand what's happening. And so here I am inside of BuildShip looking at some of my workflows. And before I show you some of my workflows, one thing that you can do is you can click on templates and you can see the scope of different workflows that are available to you. Okay, so on the left hand side, you have various categories, and you can also search for a specific workflow as well. But the point here is that this allows you to kind of understand the depth of the different workflows, the different things that you can do with BuildShip. So definitely have a look at this list, familiarize yourself with it, because this is kind of the easiest way I know to kind of really get a feel of what BuildShip is all about, because there's so many workflows that you can do here that you probably didn't even think was possible, or perhaps you realize that this is possible, but it would be very, very difficult to do. Well, with BuildShip, a lot of this is actually very, very easy and straightforward. And so this is my suggestion to you guys, is that head over to templates and familiarize yourself with some of these workflows. I'm fairly familiar with BuildShip, but I still spend time in this area just to get a feel and just to kind of understand what are the possibilities, what are some of the things that I can do with BuildShip. Okay, having said that, let's go ahead and let me show you my 5 favorite workflows that you can build with BuildShip. Okay, so the first workflow that I want to show you is a Flutterflow streaming assistant with Supabase. Now, this is an amazing workflow, and I guarantee you 99% of you guys watching this probably had no idea that this is even possible. Okay, so what exactly is this workflow? Well, if you're familiar with an AI model, a chat-based AI model such as ChatGPT or some of the other AI models, is that when you're chatting with them, you're getting a response in real time, right? You're getting this streaming behavior, okay? And this is very, very nice. It's very, very powerful, and it's very user friendly, right? The user does not need to wait, 10, 20 seconds, et cetera, for the whole, query to get, fulfilled, right? For the answer to come back. They're getting it word by word, token by token. Okay, now let's say you want to implement this kind of behavior. Well, you can do it using code, but if you're planning to use no code, if you want to use a tool such as Flutterflow, it's going to be very, very tricky. Now, I've actually created these kinds of chats where they're streaming, where they offer streaming behavior, and I showed you how to do it, but it's a little bit involved. Well, no longer, okay? This is no longer the case, because you can simply use this workflow to give you a streaming behavior in your no-code apps without needing to do any of the custom code or anything like that, okay? So you can find this workflow in this templates. You can simply search for streaming here, and you're going to be seeing the streaming assistant. But what you want to be looking at is either this Flutterflow streaming assistant with Firestore or this Flutterflow streaming assistant with Supabase. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, so, and once you import it, you're going to be looking at this exact workflow on your own screen. Okay, So what exactly do you need to do? Well, you mainly need to configure this module here, this build AI assistant for Flutterflow apps with Supabase for streaming responses real time. This is what you need to build out. Now, it's very, very important that you get this right. Okay, very, very important. So the first thing you need is an API key, the assistant ID, and you can get this from OpenAI's API section by heading to platform.openai.com. Next, you're going to have this instructions that is going to be set for you, the user prompt, all of that is going to be set for you. And following that, you need to configure your Supabase table. Now, this is where it gets very, very important that you guys pay attention to this, because when it comes to your Supabase setup, you need to make sure that you have it exactly how I have it here. Okay, you need to create a table of your choosing. So the default table is chat threads, and you're going to create this table, and you want to make sure you have these three fields there, right? So you're going to have this ID, which is text. You're going to have this created at timestamp. This is optional. And next, you're going to have this messages, which is a JSON B. And this messages is going to be filled in using real time, so that inside of your app, you can simply look up at the field and display the messages as you're receiving. Okay, now you also need to make sure that you turn real time on here. Okay, very, very important, because you're going to be getting this data in a real time fashion. And once you have this configured this way, what's going to happen here is you're going to be sending a prompt, and you're going to have a thread created for your assistant, right? So you may either reuse an existing thread, or if you don't specify a thread, it's going to create a thread automatically for you. Okay, so let me show you a quick proof of concept app that I built that shows you this behavior. Okay, so we're going to head over to my Flutterflow here, and I'm going to show you this proof of concept app that I built that shows you how that works. So let's go ahead and create a new session so that you can see how it functions. All right, so here's our Flutterflow app that is going to be acting as the UI. And one thing that I didn't mention here is that we also use a get website node here that will allow us to scrape different websites and get information that we can use in our research. Okay, so now that we have this here, we can give it a prompt that looks something like this: give me tips from this URL. And I basically gave it a URL of a Barcelona travel site. And the idea here is that we want to get various tips from this website that has various information about traveling to Barcelona and some of the best things that we can do. Okay, so now we're going to hit OK, and we should see streaming responses here just below. And as you can see, it's streaming back the responses. You see how it works. We're not getting everything at the same time. We're getting piece by piece. Okay, and we didn't need to really implement this ourselves. This is provided by this node here, by this workflow here. Now, there's still a couple of things that you can configure here. For instance, this write interval, I have it set at 2000 milliseconds, which is 2 seconds. And so every 2 seconds, it's going to be outputting a new token or a new sentence, or you're going to be seeing some change. And so you can make this smaller, or you can make it larger. So you'll probably want to make this smaller. So maybe something like, 500 milliseconds, which is a half a second. And that way you're going to be seeing like a faster behavior. But regardless, this is a great, great module that you can use combined with some of these other nodes that you can configure, and you're going to be having this streaming behavior. The only thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that your Flutterflow app is configured for real time. So you have real time enabled on this table here called chat threads, and then you're reading your data in a real time way inside of your Flutterflow app. And I've talked about this many times, so definitely watch some of my previous videos where I show you how to get this real-time Supabase functionality working in your Flutterflow apps. And so this is a great workflow because you are getting the streaming behavior essentially for free. Now, the next workflow that I want to talk about is called Database Query Assistant. Okay, and the idea here is that you can get OpenAI to connect to your database and do all kinds of interesting things. So for instance, You can ask it, hey, tell me, something about my customers. Tell me what was, the average of, the largest sales that we did last week. And not only that, you can also have it insert records, modify records, do all kinds of interesting things. And so this is very, very powerful, and it's also very user friendly. It's actually pretty cool how it works, and how you can take it to do pretty much anything that you want concerning your database. Now you can also find this in the template, so all you need to do is search for query assistant. You're going to see this database query assistant. This is exactly what I have here. And so there are two things that you need to configure here. The first thing is you need to configure your OpenAI assistant module, right? So remember, an OpenAI assistant is like a customized ChatGPT that works on your data, on your functions, on your concepts, and you just need to provide it maybe a PDF, maybe you enable the code interpreter, or you can also give it custom functions here in the form of nodes that can do some unique calculations. Okay, so you need to configure this. So you need to have your OpenAI API key. You need to get an assistant ID. So as you can see, I have my assistant IDs right here. So this is one of my assistant IDs, I believe. It is this one right here that I've created. And then you give it instructions. So instructions is going to be provided to you. User prompt is something that you have to provide, and we're not using any of the built-in tools because we're going to be using a functions, right? So you have two functions that are provided to you. You can fetch table schema, or you can do a SQL query, and depending on your request, depending on the prompt, this assistant is going to automatically figure out which one of these to execute or not. Now, when it comes to these functions, these nodes here, you need to configure your PostgreSDB, and you can do that by simply heading to, database Supabase. You want to go into project settings, and you want to click on database, and you want to get these values here. So these are my values here. I just went ahead and I copied them here. And the table name is going to be autofilled, because the table is something that you will specify as part of your prompt. Okay, so now that we have that configured, we can go to our database. And so as you can see, I have this employees table here. Okay, so if you take a look at my employees table, I have various employees here. And so I can potentially ask this, node here, this assistant, to tell me something about these employees, because it will get all the schema and has complete access to my database. So let's go ahead and take a look and see how that works. So I went ahead and created a proof of concept app as well. This is part of the same app. And here, all you need to do is specify a query. So I can say something like, tell me the number of employees I have. Okay, and the idea is it will go ahead and find the right table and perform the query, and then give me the answer in a way that I understand. Okay, so let's go ahead and execute this and see what it comes up with. All right, and it just told me you have 10 employees. And why do we have 10 employees? Well, that is because we have 10 records in this table here. Okay, so it not only figured out which table to look at, but it also figured out like how many records we have. And it gave it back in a regular kind of English, right? Which is kind of, the power of LLMs, right? Which is the power of this OpenAI assistant. So this is really cool. If we click on emails here, we can take a look at some of the emails. So let's go ahead and ask it how many emails I have. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that and see if it figures out. Tell me the number. Let's see. Tell me the number of emails I have. Okay, and that should also be 10 as well. Let's see if it's able to figure that out. Okay, so it tells me you have 10 emails. Now, how about we ask it something a little bit more involved? Tell me the number of positive emails I have. Okay, so maybe some emails are negative in nature, some emails are positive, or maybe all the emails are positive. Let's go ahead and see if it is able to figure it out. Okay, so it went ahead and told me that table emails does not have a column to directly deduce whether an email is positive or not. However, if we use the sentiment analysis in the body or subject columns, we may get the desired information. Please specify the criteria for an email being positive. So let's go ahead and give it some instructions where the body is positive in nature. Or actually, let's go ahead and give it subject, where the subject is positive in nature. Okay, so let's see if that helps it out. Okay, so it keeps telling me we need more information. How about we do something like this? Tell me how many emails have a body that's longer than 500 words. Okay, so how about something like this? Let's see if that works. And there it says there are no emails with a body that's longer than 500 words. Okay, so it's able to figure this out because all the emails that I have there are fairly short. So if you take a look at these emails, as you can see, they're very, very short. They're just like a sentence. And so using this workflow, we can get information about not only a specific table, but about all the tables that we have and the information stored in these tables. And this is really, really nice because instead of us, manually kind of analyzing our database, looking at our tables, we can have the system do it for us, right? And this table name is autofilled because it figures it out from the context, which is really, really powerful. And everything else is fixed, right? Everything else is static. It's not going to change. Your database name, user, and same thing for the SQL query, etc., etc. So it's able to figure it out using the context provided. So another really, really nice workflow that opens up a ton of different possibilities. Now, the next workflow that I'm going to show you is the website Q&A workflow. And you can simply head over to templates and you can search for this, right? You can simply start typing website and you're going to see this website Q&A. And this is a great, great workflow. And in fact, this is a good workflow to introduce you to open AI assistants and some of the things that they can do. Okay, so we're still using this OpenAI assistant thing here, but of course, we need to give it a node that will allow it to scrape a website, to get information about a website. And so the URL is going to be provided by the user. The selector is fixed. It's going to be body, which is typically the case, but the URL is going to be provided by the user. And so if we head back to our proof of concept app, we can specify a prompt and give it a website, and we can ask it a question regarding the information that the website is about. So let's go ahead and try this out. So let's say, are there new models being released according to macrumors.com? Okay, so something like this, we're gonna hit OK, and we are gonna see what it comes up with. Okay, all right, and there's the response. Yes, according to MacRumors, the following models are expected to be released: M4 MacBook Pro, Apple Watch Series 10, etc., etc. And this is a really, really nice use case when it comes to getting data from an external source and giving you the data that you need, right? If you think about macrumors.com, it's a website that, among other things, it basically lists some of the rumors in terms of new product releases, things like that. So basic speculation. And instead of, visiting this website, we can simply use an OpenAI assistant combined with this get website functionality. And by the way, this get website functionality, you can simply click here, and all you need to do is type website, and you're going to find a node that does exactly that. So all you need to do is get this scrape website URL. This is the node that you're looking for. And obviously you have lots and lots of other nodes that you can use, but this is the node that you want to be looking at. And so using this functionality, we are able to get the information that we need from this website, which is ideal because a lot of people visit this website just to know, what are some of the new products that Apple is going to be releasing. Okay, and just creating something like this gives us that functionality. So this is very, very powerful and also very, very useful example of an OpenAI assistant, along with extra features, extra functions, things that you can use. Now, as I said earlier, doing something like this by hand is going to get very, very tricky, and you're going to get bogged down in all the technical stuff. So using a tool such as BuildShip just makes it a lot easier and a lot simpler to give you powerful functionality, right? Powerful things, especially when you combine with some of the built-in tools here, but also some of the functions that you can include here as well. The next workflow that I want to show you is an easy way to create a Telegram bot that does pretty much anything that you want. And so you can find this workflow here. You can simply search for Telegram, and this is what we're using, this Telegram bot assistant. And the idea here is that you can create a Telegram bot that responds in a way that you want. So we're using this OpenAI assistant here, and right now we're not using any nodes here, right? So this is like ChatGPT, okay? So it doesn't have access to any other functions, any other nodes or anything like that. So this is just like ChatGPT. And so I use something called a bot father to go ahead and create my bot for me. So I went ahead and created this bot right here, this James bot, according to the instructions that are available on BuildShip's website. And as a result, we have a Telegram bot that does pretty much anything that I wanted to do, right? So if I click on start, it tells me, hello, how can I assist you today? I can say something like, what's the meaning of life? All right, and there's the response. The meaning of life is etc., etc., etc. Obviously, Telegram is not responding to this. This is all OpenAI. This is all ChatGPT. Now, by itself, it doesn't really do anything special. What we can do is we can give it some superpowers in the form of these nodes that are going to be converted as these functions, right? These callable functions. So let's say we add a node, and let's go ahead and search for website. And I want to add this scrape website URL here. Okay. Now here we need to give it a descriptive name, and it fills it out pretty accurately, right? Scrape website URL, scrape a web URL. So we're gonna do that. Now the URL is gonna be provided by the user. So we're gonna click here. We're gonna do that. It's gonna be autofill. The selector is gonna be the body. Okay, next we're gonna ship this so that we deploy it into the cloud. Okay, now it's deployed. Now we can chat with this again. And so what we can do is we can say something like, summarize this website in, I don't know, 5 sentences. And we can do something like, we can pass it macrumors.com, and we can do that. And let's see what it comes up with. So it should be able to scrape it now, get that data, use AI to kind of figure out what the data is about, and then give us the response. Okay, and there you have it. MacRumors is a website dedicated to providing the latest news, etc., etc. And that should be 5 sentences. It seems to me that is exactly what it is. And now we can say something like this. Are there any new product releases according to macrumors.com? So similarly to what we did previously, okay? Except now we're chatting with a Telegram bot. All right, and there you have it. Yes, there are several upcoming product releases mentioned on MacRumors. Key upcoming releases include all of these things, okay? So it gave us 5 upcoming releases, okay? And this is really nice because you can completely configure this bot. You can make sure that the URL is fixed. So if you have a website that you run maybe, or you want to set it up for a particular website, and you don't want the user to have the option to kind of, enter their own website, you can hard code it, right? You can put that there, and regardless of what they do, it's always going to be this website. So you can do anything that you want, and you can offer them a pretty cool bot that does all kinds of interesting things, interfaces with OpenAI, scrapes URLs, or maybe it gets access to your database. You name it, you'll be able to do it. In this case, this is going to be a different interface. So another really, really cool workflow with tons and tons of different possibilities. Last but not least, I want to show you a very, very simple workflow that is useful anytime you have unstructured data and you want to get structured data, okay? So this workflow is called Extract Hacker News. You can simply go into templates and you can just search for extract, and you're going to see this OpenAI Extract Hacker News. Okay, and this is the workflow that I'm using. So if you jump back here, it's very, very simple workflow, but it's useful if you're trying to get data from a website, from some kind of a page, some kind of text, but you don't want to parse it yourself. Okay, so here we're using a node called OpenAI Extract, and you need to specify your key, the URL, the selector, and the fields that you need to extract, right? So in this case, we're specifying news.ycombinator.com, which is Hacker News, a kind of a very popular website, community website where people submit various articles and other people upload them. And what we can do is we can get just the title, the link, the score, and the user. So without needing to visit this website, we can just get the data that we need. So before I show you the proof of concept, let's go ahead and run it on using this test mode here. So we can do test. We're not specifying anything here because everything is already hard-coded. We're just going to do a test workflow. It's running this thing. As you can see, it's running this OpenAI extract. So it's getting this data and it's getting just the fields that we care about. And then it's going to give us the output in a very, very easy to digest format. Okay, and there you have it. So if we maximize that, you're going to see that we have the whole data here, right? So we have the title, the link, the score, we have all of these things, and that way you don't need to visit the website, or most importantly, you can create an API that other people can consume, right? This is one of the many, many use cases and even business cases for this specific workflow. So if I jump back into my Flutterflow app, I have a proof of concept page that I created. This is for structured data, so we don't need to fill this out. We can just hit go, and it's going to execute the same thing and display. I think I'm only going to be displaying the titles here instead of displaying all of this here as is done here. All right, and there you have it. We have a list of titles, right? I'm just displaying the titles. So you have this title, you have all of these titles that we have here, right? And I just have a list of titles here, right? Obviously, you are, you have the freedom to configure it the way you want, but I figured this is a great, great workflow here because we are taking unstructured data and we're creating structured data. So just like how I mentioned, a great use case is creating an API that other apps, other people, other tools can consume without needing to do all the kind of heavy lifting. Okay, there's tons and tons of different things that you can do. But all of this is made possible using this OpenAI extract node, where all you need to specify is kind of the fields. You also have the mode, text or HTML. Really, really easy and without needing to do a lot of work. It just does everything for you, okay? So these are my 5 favorite BuildShip workflows that you can use in order to build very, very powerful apps. And really, these are my 5 favorite types of workflows, right? Because each of the workflow can expand and become a family of other workflows, right? So for instance, with this last one, we have a node that we really haven't talked about before, this OpenAI extract. And so you can use that in all kinds of different situations. And another thing that you can do is you can combine lots of these workflows and create even more complex, even more robust and powerful apps. So definitely check out BuildShip at buildship.app.com, sign up for your free account and start using this amazing tool. Now, this video tutorial has been mostly focused on BuildShip. I also created a separate Flutterflow app that shows you how you can be interacting with your BuildShip workflow, some of the best practice and things like that. And because this has been a BuildShip focused video, if you're interested in getting access to my app and kind of learning how I did everything, as is the case with all my apps, this specific app that I built is going to be available to view and or clone from my Patreon page. And if you're still not a member of our amazing Patreon community, then you should definitely become one. And you can sign up via the first link in the description below. And when you sign up, you're not only going to be getting access to this app, you're going to be getting access to all my apps, all the apps that I discussed and created tutorials around on this channel. Plus, you're going to get access to extra content. You're going to become a part of our amazing community where you can communicate with others, ask questions, and I'm there as well, trying to help you guys out as much as I can. And most importantly, you're going to be supporting this channel and supporting my work. So if you're getting value from any of the videos, any of the content that I'm putting out, then you're going to be supporting this channel. Plus, you're also going to be getting more and more content. So it's a win-win situation for everybody involved. And so if any of this sounds like it's going to provide you with some level of value, help you with your no-code development, or maybe show you something that you may perhaps didn't see before, or help you get over a certain barrier, a certain issue that you may have been dealing with for quite a while, then you definitely need to become a member. And just like I said, you can become a member via the first link in the description below the video.